Welcome back to Dear Crabby. I'm Frank. And folks, if you've got any questions whatsoever, feel free to shoot them out to me at dearcrabby9@gmail.com, or you can phone me at 312-725-9973, and please leave a brief message. And I'll endeavor to do my best to answer your questions. And as always, I must say that I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I don't even play one on TV, but I will do my best to help you out any way that I can with your questions. Folks, so we've got one here that's entitled, "Life is Too Short to Spend Time with Rude People." Isn't that the truth? And this writer goes on to say that I've been married, second marriage for both, her and her husband, for 5 years. We each have a child from our previous marriage and a child together. We have full-time jobs and are very involved in the kids' activities. My husband's family is constantly demanding our time and are very hurtful to us. I don't know what that means. They are very hurtful to us. She goes on to say they only request us much of the time, or just my husband, so they're not including the kids, and frequently leave the children out. We do not make much of an effort to accommodate them because any time we do have, we like to spend together. We are so tired of battling with them and would like very much to have a peaceful relationship with them. We would like to see a movie or have a relaxing evening that doesn't focus on so much negative energy. How do we get them to perhaps try to enhance our relationship based on something fun rather than negative conversation and insults? Oh my gosh, who are these people? Jeez. It's safe to say that if you really knew the husband's family, you probably wouldn't be together, right? I mean, that might even be a safe assumption. So there's two things going on here. You didn't really allude to what they're doing when you say that they're very hurtful to you. I don't know what that means, but I mean, that just is telling me that they're toxic at this point. Why? I have no idea why they would be so toxic to you. And there's a lot of reasons. You may not be on the same religious path that they are. That's religion. That's a flashpoint. There's a whole lot of reasons that don't have a lot to do with you as a person as to why they're being hurtful. It's more a reflection of them, I think, and some inadequacies that they might have. And that's manifesting itself as being hurtful to you. In other words, I don't think you're the problem. But the one thing that I didn't like when you told me that they don't want the family to be there, I mean, that's kind of sad. I mean, these are grandparents, right? You each have a child from a different marriage. You have one together. It's a family. They need to realize that. I think there needs to be a conversation that you are a family. When they say they want you to do something, you need to respond back that we can do this, and kind of say we as a family. And I think you need to start putting your foot down and saying that you act as a family. I mean, does it make sense to go spend time with people like this and have to get a babysitter on top of it? No. I mean, they're grandparents. They should really understand that you operate as a family. That is the first thing. And I think that if I were you, I would probably either have some excuses to get the hell out of there really quick if they started in being hurtful and rude. Maybe look at your phone and say, oh, we have to go, such and such. Leave them with that moment and then come back to them and say, sorry, we had to run, but what were you talking about? When you said this, bring it up to them. And I think that your husband could get involved with this too, and have them understand that it doesn't make you feel good. I mean, it's not the kind of thing that makes you want to hang around them, right? I mean, they need to understand that they are pushing you away when they're hurting and hurting and mean and rude and all of these things. They're pushing you and your husband away, which I don't think that's the intended effect, but they need to understand that's exactly the way it's going. Another thing, instead of popping up and saying, "Oh, we have to go," when they start being hurtful and rude, you could just try changing the subject and have different things that you can bring up and say very eloquently something like, "Well, tell me, how did your day go when you emailed us and said this happened, this happened, this happened?" Just totally change it and see if that has an effect. But I think that at some point, no matter how you do that, whether you get up and go or you change the subject, you need to come back and tell them that there's a problem, with them being that way, because to you it's hurting and rude, and you don't want to continue that way. I think at some point you're going to have that conversation with them for your own good. So the next question here, folks, is meddlesome mother-in-law strikes again. This is something that a lot of people deal with, right? Meddlesome mother-in-law blues, basically. She strikes again. What to do? So she writes in to say, "I am getting married in 2 weeks. Good luck, by the way. My future husband is having a prenup drawn up. I don't have a problem signing the prenup, but I do have a problem with him having his mother contact the lawyer and dictating what should be in the prenup, and everyone keeping me in the dark. I believe this is something he and I should do together and not invite other parties into the picture. What do you think? What do you think I should do? I would appreciate someone else's opinion. Thanks." If they could have done this possibly without letting the word out, that would be one thing, but the cat's out of the bag. You know that she's had a hand in this prenup, and it's not nice. It really isn't. It is meddlesome. I mean, when you get down to it, I think that there needs to be a conversation with her, about what you think the marriage means to you. And sometimes people go too far with these prenups, don't they? And this could be an example of that. They go too far. You're going to have to enlist your husband's help here, just by saying, if things need to be discussed, I think I should be a part of that conversation. And he should be on your side for this, I believe, right? It should be a two-way street. It shouldn't be just your meddlesome mother-in-law, pulling the strings, behind your husband like he's some sort of a puppet. I think there should be a little bit more of a dialogue, and it just seems, like she's getting a little too deep into this. And I think that if you push back and said there should be a dialogue, I think that might make her withdraw a little bit. It's something that you both should agree on. It shouldn't just be pushed in front of you because, you're in love. This transcends all of that. And to have someone working behind the scenes like this is detracting from that. And I think she should know that. And at a minimum, bring these things up so that it's a part of the conversation. Oh, you want to do this? Why is that? Okay, well, I see your point. Okay, that's fine. But it's just, my gosh, you got a meddlesome mother-in-law here. You're just going to have to put your feet down pretty quick, because I don't think it's going to get any better. And she needs some pushback. Some of these people just need pushback, and I think she's one of them. So, folks, we've got the last question here is entitled His Life, the Dog, the TV, then Her. So she comes last. His life is the dog, the TV, then her. She goes on to say, "Frank, it seems that every time I get into a relationship, the excitement and magic of it all just fades so fast. It's like the man gets used to and comfortable with me, which is good in some ways, but in other ways it drives me nuts. For example, he, and she doesn't live with him, she says, spends more time playing with his dog than with me when I'm around. When we watch a movie, it's like I'm not there. He can't hear me speak because the TV is so mesmerizing." I'm kind of in that ballpark, I'm sorry to say. There's some of us that when a movie is on, to understand the flow of what's going on and the character of it, I'm always reading between the lines. And to that, I find it very mesmerizing. And I watch a lot of I don't know, I like PBS and some of those things. But anyway, I'm mesmerized, and I'm just fully like absorbed into what's going on, trying to figure it out. So I kind of get that. But she goes on to say, he used to stare into my eyes across the dinner table and tell me how beautiful I was, and I really thought it was true. Now I feel unappealing and unattractive. And when he does show some affection, I now feel that instead of it being genuine, it's only because he knows it's what I need and what I want. Is it them? Is it them or me? She says. Am I crazy? Is it in my head? Are all men and all relationships like this? Please help. Well, it really looks to me like there's different ways you can approach this. For example, when he's playing with his dog, maybe he can give the ball to you or the toy to you and let you throw it a little bit. Just kind of get yourself involved with it. Try to make it fun. I love dogs, as hard as that may be sometimes, given what they do. But I think that if you were to get involved and just pick the ball up, I think that's what he needs to do. Give you the ball, let you start to get involved with it. Dogs are a hell of a lot of fun. They really are. I think that's one thing you could do. And when you watch a movie, like I said, it's like you're not there. Okay, guilty. That's just, I don't know what to tell you. That's just kind of part of watching a movie. I'm kind of like that. So I can't help you there, but you don't need to watch TV all the time, right? You don't need to watch movies all the time. There should be time for you. And I think that might be something like a date night. You've heard of this concept before, I'm sure, where you guys just go on a date and you have me time. You set up that scenario where he's across the dinner table from you. The telephones are away. The iPhones, the Android phones, they're all away. And it's just you and him. It is normal, I think, for things to sort of fade in a relationship a little bit. But you've got to try to reignite that. And I think that there's so much that you all have in common. Look back to what brought you together in the first place. Have a date night, reignite that, and just enjoy yourself. And try to play with the dog a little bit. They're tons of fun. I hope that helps. Folks, I want to thank you for joining me. Those are the 3 questions that I've got. I want to thank you for watching the episode here of Dear Crabby. And as always, you can always reach me at dearcrabby9@gmail.com. And I don't know why I say it that way. Dear Crabby9. It's almost like it's the number 9, not 9. But I say it and I think of it in my head as 9. Dear Crabby9. No. Anyway, dearcrabby9@gmail.com. And you can always call me at 312-725-9973. And when you leave a message, try to leave it as brief as you can. And I generally get the transcripts from those, just like an email, basically. So I want to thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. And we'll look for you next time, folks. Till then.